has helped in creating these large systems. So now we'll start the session with inaugural address by Sri D.P. Nagendra Kumar sir. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh Maiti. Good morning, dear participants. Mr. P.V. Bhatt, Deputy Director General, NIC Bangalore. Ms. Sunita Beno, NIC Bangalore. Mr. Suresh Maiti, and all the participants who have taken time out of their busy schedule to be a part of this awareness program on e-invoicing. As you're all aware, the e-invoicing was introduced in the month of October 2020 for those taxpayers whose turnover in any of the preceding financial years exceeded rupees 500 crores. Since then, the turnover limit has been scaled down to rupees 100 crores effective from 1st of January 2021 and further brought down to rupees 50 crores from 1st of April 2021. Effective from 1st April 2022, this turnover is proposed to be brought down from rupees 50 crore to 20 crore. So organizing a workshop for creating awareness and also explaining the nuances of the e-invoicing system is therefore going to be beneficial to those taxpayers and those tax intermediaries advising those segment of taxpayers in complying with these amendments brought into the GST law. E-invoicing, as you're all aware, is a step taken towards integrating the business processes to make them compatible to the GST compliance process. As you are engaged in doing business and involved in supply of taxable goods and services, you are raising invoices in your own ERP system or at the backend systems. The e-invoicing system tries to fetch the data from the invoice what you raise, provide a unique identity and a digital certification to ensure the information furnished is authenticated, and thereafterwards it is certified through an invoice reference portal for the purpose of transacting with the government portal such as GSTN and e-Waybill portal for uploading the information. Contrary to the popular perception that invoicing means it's an electronic generation of invoice, it's that whatever invoice you have been currently generating, it gets authenticated to IRN, providing for a unique reference ID. And that reference ID becomes a source information for exchange of the data between the GSTN portal and your business systems. The advantages of e-invoice is twofold. One, it certainly provides efficiency in terms of complying with the GST return filing and upload of information, so that you avoid and eliminate the data entry errors and the time taken for voluminous data upload, be it into your GSTR1 or for that matter, dealing with your clients. The second important advantage of the invoice, you can backwards integrate into your business system, including your payment and also tracking your vendor supply chain management. Now, NIC, the technology partner who have been providing solutions for over 3 decades to the indirect tax administration, be it in customs or in excise, VAT laws, or for that matter, the GST, has been the pioneer in the field of automating the key business processes in the GST regime as well. As you're all aware, the e-Waybill introduced from April 2018 has seen over 250 crores of e-Waybills being generated in a seamless manner across the country without any physical intervention, which has not only facilitated the smooth movement of goods across the country, but also enabled the tax administration to make verification and interventions purely driven by risk. The e-invoicing initiative, again supported by NIC under the overarching umbrella of GSTN, is expected to turn the business to be more efficient in terms of not only earning the eligible ITC without any question, but also bring in integrity into the whole process of ITC claim and offset. The technology which has been devised by NIC in facilitating the generation of invoice and also automating its flow of information into the GSTR1 and subsequently into the 3B as a payment return is bound to improve the efficiency and also ease of doing business. While adoption of technology is always a challenge, but making it easy and simple to comply has been the effort on the part of government, and NIC has been fully with us in that endeavor. On behalf of the central government and also the state government tax administrations, I will appeal to the large taxpayers to adopt this technology, which has been made user-friendly by various means that would be explained in the session today, to be on the right side of the law. The e-invoicing has been made mandatory by virtue of the notification issued on 24th February, which will come into effect from 1st of April. Now, while you may take some time to adopt to this new technology, it's our earnest hope and endeavor that we handhold you during this transition and provide you with all the supports. NIC, on its part, has created educational videos, FAQs, and also organizing seminars at a national level in a widespread manner. Starting from last week, probably, I think, if I'm not incorrect, this is the 5th or 6th seminar where about 1,000 odd participants have been attending the seminars and benefiting from this information sharing. At the conclusion, I compliment and congratulate the NIC team, ably led by Mr. P.V. Bhatt, Deputy Director General, and his able team, Ms. Sunita Beno and Mr. Suresh Mehti, and the team members in not only developing a product, refining the product, continuous upgradation, but also undertaking the mammoth task of organizing the outreach programs. And I compliment them for this effort. And I look forward to the taxpayers for their active participation in this webinar. At the end of the webinar, there will be a standard FAQ, which Mr. Suresh Mehti will take through you. But more importantly, your questions and your concerns can always be raised in the chat box. The panel of experts will be available for you to clarify this matter. Should any issue remain unclarified, which requires a policy level intervention, I look forward to those being forwarded to the Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customs and the GSTN for providing further clarity on this matter. With these words, I conclude my inaugural speech and look forward to your active engagement in the session, which would last close to nearly about 2 hours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your inaugural address, sir. Now I request P.V. Bhatt, sir, SIO and DDG, to give the highlights of e-invoice and the basics of e-invoice system.
Good morning to all. Dear Sri DP Nagendra Kumar sir, member CBAC and chartered accountant, taxpayers, tax practitioners, and ladies and gentlemen. This is in fact, as already Nagendra Kumar sir has told, this is the 5th seminar we are conducting, online webinar basically. We have done for officer also, and we are doing for the taxpayer also. So already today, last week we have conducted one where more than 1,000 people have connected. Today already 1,000 people have connected across on the webinar, and also in YouTube, almost 2,000 people are watching the whole session. That itself shows that people are very keen to take it further and use the system and simplify their tax administration or activity what they are carrying out, going to carry out the things. So just to simplify and further take it on that, I'll just go through quickly to the presentation, completely explain about the e-invoicing details, not only a technical and what is the policy related issues are there also. I'll just try to cover and explain that, and so that you can understand how the things are going to, how easy it is. Basically, people may be thinking that it is a more complicated kind of a thing. We have made it very simple and easier. We have given some tools also. Just we'll explain all of them in a detail in next 1.5 hours. Then we'll be very interested to take your queries, because your queries we answer, then you will be more clear to take it further on that. So we are very interested to see that queries, whatever the kind of queries are there, you can raise in a chat box so that we'll go through them and answer one by one. Now, as member CBSE has already told, e-invoicing is a game changer. How it is going to change the whole system, how it is going to help, I will cover in the next slides. Next slide, please. So before I start with the things, just I thought I will update you about the NIC. National Informatics Center is a Government of India organization. We are supporting all the government department and state or a center in building up their e-governance system. We have built a number of citizen-centric services. And in fact, we are very much closely associated and building up the indirection taxation systems. Customs is one of the system where we are closely working with the CBIC for last 3 decades, and the system is running very smoothly. And also with the state, we have worked with the VAT, sales tax, professional tax with the various states, and we have built those system. Last 4 years back, we started a e-way system. Most of you may be using that, so it is working very effectively. And e-invoicing system now we have started for 1.5 years. That is also being taken up now. Further, it is being phased manner, it is getting increased. Now I'll go into the e-way bill detail. Next slide, please. As member CBIC has told, I am happy to inform that we have crossed 250 crores of e-way bill generation in less than 4 years. That itself shows how the people are following the rules and generating the e-way bill and taking further on that. You can see in the slide now, first year we have generated 55 crore, second year 62 crore, again third year 61 crore or 62 crore you can say. Basically, this is the pandemic time. In spite of that, also e-way bill generation was smoothly. People have followed and taken care about that. This year, 15 days back, around 1 week back, 74 crore we have generated. I am expecting by end of this month, this financial year, will be reaching around 78 crore e-way bill generation. That itself is a big achievement, and this itself shows how the economy is performing, how the taxpayer are complying to the tax requirement. And one of the things which those who are using e-way bill, they'll really appreciate, this has simplified their activity. It has brought one nation, one tax, one market, and it added with one e-way bill. Previously in the taxation system, you used to generate one e-way bill for each state. Now it has been taken away. Only one e-way bill for the whole nation is there. This has helped largely the transporter and taxpayer also. And this thanks to the state government and central government, where the static checkposts have been removed. When the static checkposts have been removed and single e-way bill has been introduced, the movement of goods have become very easy, and it is reaching the destination very fast. As we estimated through the journalists or the logistic companies, they are able to save 25 to 30% of the time because of single e-way bill and removal of the static checkposts. Thanks to the government, where it is helping the taxpayers and the logistic company. It has also helped in improving the tax compliance. People have started applying the e-way bills properly and filing the returns. All the things have been linked, so it has been simplified their job also. Obviously, the revenue collection also has been improved because of the introduction of the e-way bill. And it has simplified the ease of doing business as one of the goal of the government of India or the states. Next slide. Now I will start with the e-way bill system. I will cover the e-way bill in the next few slides. Next slide. So again, here in 1.5 years, we have reached 144 crore e-invoice generation. That itself is a big achievement, we can say. Only we have started with the top taxpayer, 50 crore above. So those people have able to generate 144 crore. So by end of this month, we will be reaching 150 crore. So that itself is again the big achievement, where the people are complying with that and B2B transactions are taken care. And we have systemized the whole process of the e-invoicing system. Next slide. So you can see the journey, how the e-invoicing has been started. First month we started with 5.7 crore e-invoices. By February we have reached 9 crore. And this month we are expecting around almost 10 crore e-invoices will be generated from the portal. On a single day, we are able to generate almost around 50 lakh e-way bills from the portal, e-invoices from the portal, which is a big achievement on the September 30th of 2021. And as you know, the bottom, you can see we started on October 1st, 2020 for 500 crore about taxpayer. Then 1st January 2021, we started with 100 crore about taxpayer. Then 1st April 2021, 50 crore about taxpayer. And from next month beginning, that is April 1st, we are going to start with 20 crore about taxpayer. So the journey has been being done in a phased manner as told by the member, and we are going to add the coming months the other taxpayer also in a phased manner, building them a confidence and taking further on the whole process. So one of the thing achievement what we can say is 144 crore e-invoices have been generated by 1.5 lakh suppliers. So 1.5 lakh top suppliers are able to generate 144 crore e-invoices, and it is related to 75 lakh recipients. So now 75 lakh recipients are getting their e-invoices or R2B details or ITC instantaneously. This is the achievement what the invoice is going to bring. If you are supplying the goods to me, when I give you upload the e-invoice, I am assured about my ITC because you are registering the government portal. I'll get my ITC. So that way, the ITC payment, ITC acceptance, and ITC availability becomes very seamlessly and very easily. Next slide. So this is what the benefit e-invoice is going to put. It is not only for the supplier. People are thinking that e-invoice is being introduced by government to say that only government you apply the give the invoices, then government wants that invoice. No, it is not like that. It has the multiple ecosystems are going to get benefited in the coming years. One is a supplier is going to be simplified. Once you apply the one invoice, so all your return, e-way bill, everything will be automated by the system. You need not have to keep on feeding for everything separately, e-way bill separately, R1 separately, kind of a thing. One entry of the e-invoice will take care about preparing all your returns and e-way bill, and everything will come through that. So that will simplify your work. Recipient will be assured about the ITC because when the e-invoice is uploaded, recipient will get that invoice copy. And interestingly, the recipient can get the electronic copy of the e-invoice and process on his system so that he need not have to key in again that data. Auto processing is possible of the receipt of the invoice, so he need not have to key in. His stock will be get updated. All the things he can build up accordingly as per your requirement. Transporter will be get benefited because the logistic movement will be simplified, and he can just enter the e-invoice number and vehicle number, e-way bill will be generated, or he can just carry the e-invoice so that if somebody stops also, immediately it will be verified on the portal. There is no question about any confusion about the content what you are carrying out. So financer will be benefited whenever you are taking the loans from the financer. Your data from the e-invoice they can take and ensure that your supplies are being recorded and government is authenticating, and they can give the loan. Whenever your procurement also instantaneously, bill discounting or whatever you call, all kind of things are possible using this system. Tax compliance, GST officers are going to be simplified their work because you are giving all the things instantaneously. They will not come to you, or you need not have to bother about them, that everything is transparent, everything is available. So ease of doing business will be achieved using this system also. Next slide. So now I'll start with the e-invoicing system. What is e-invoicing? E-invoicing is nothing but registering your invoice on the portal. So please note that you are not preparing the invoice on the portal. You are preparing your invoice on your system, your ERP system, or manually as per your business process. Then you are passing that information to the e-invoicing system to register there and get the acknowledgement. That's all. You are not preparing because all the validation, calculation, everything is not happening in the e-invoice portal. You are doing everything in your ERP system and manually or whatever the process you are following, business process. Then that information will be passed on to e-invoicing system. It will give the reference number. You will take and continue further on that. Currently, NIC is only the IRP available, and it is catering all the requirement of all the taxpayers and all the people. And IRN, when you submit the registration, you will get the one IRN number, you will get acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date, and QR code also. The signed QR code you have to take and print it on your invoice. Next slide. So again, as I already explained, from April 2022, it is going to be made mandatory for all the taxpayer whose turnover is more than 20 crore. And here it may be noted that how the government has arrived into 20 crore. What is the base on which the people have been identified that they are above 20 crore? Please note that taxpayers turnovers, all turnovers, whether it is a taxable, export, exempted, or non-GST, all the things have been taken. against the PAN. If one taxpayer is having a multiple GST on the same PAN in a different state, all those returns are being clubbed for a given financial year, and e-invoices has been prepared. Sorry, this turnover has been prepared. That turnover, if it is crossing 20 crore, then the taxpayer is supposed to start the generating the e-invoice. So this has been taken care. And in any of the last 4 years, any financial year, if he has crossed 20 crore, he will be enabled for the e-invoicing system. This is available through this system. Next slide, please. So now, applicability. What are the things are applicable? One is who are the taxpayer eligible to generate the e-invoice has been notified by government time to time. The people have to follow that. And you have to generate e-invoice for B2B transaction, B2G transaction, and export transaction. Not for B2C transaction. It is only for B2B and B2G and export transaction. And document types which are to be allowed for the e-invoice generation: invoices, credit note, debit note. Only these 3 documents are allowed for the e-invoice generation. Next slide. So now these are the categories of the taxpayer who are not applicable for the e-invoice generation. If some taxpayer is dealing with the banking or insurance company transactions, he is not allowed. I mean, he need not have to generate the e-invoice. Good transport agency is not supposed to generate the e-invoice. Passenger transport agency is not supposed to generate the e-invoice. Multiplex cinemas have been exempted. Government department has been exempted. SEZ units have been exempted. ISD units have been exempted. And composition taxpayer also has been exempted. Most importantly, if you are issuing the invoice to the customer or a consumer, that is B2C transaction you are doing, for that e-invoice is not required. Please note, for B2C transaction, e-invoice is not required. Next slide. So how to find out the eligibility of the taxpayer? There is an option available on the e-invoice, e-invoice1.gst.in.gov.in portal. There is an option available where any taxpayer can enter his GSTN number and see whether he is eligible to generate e-invoice or not. So one can come to know on that portal by entering his GSTN number. There is an option available, search e-invoice status of taxpayer. Now let us say if some of the taxpayer may say that I am not supposed to generate e-invoice, but portal is saying that I have to generate e-invoice because as per my records of books, my turnover is less than 20 crore. In that case, you can go to the GSTN common portal, raise the ticket saying that my turnover is less than 20 crore. I am not supposed to generate e-invoice, but system has been enabled for me. They will take a complaint and they will try to check the things and get back to you on whatever needs to be done on that. And there is the other category of the people also. I am more than 20 crore, but system is saying that you are not eligible, enabled for the e-invoicing. Can I enable, self-enable? Yes, there is a provision available. You can go there, enter the registration option, e-invoice enablement option is there. Enter there, enter your GSTN ID. You will get the mobile OTP in the mobile. Enter that and create, and you will be enabled for the e-invoice. It will take your turnover and year kind of a thing. Then you can automatically get enabled for the e-invoicing. Next slide. So registration. If you are generating e-way bill already on this portal, e-way bill and e-invoice have been tightly integrated, seamlessly integrated. The same login credential, you can use it for the generation of e-invoice also. If you are not doing, there is an option available. You can go there and register yourself and generate the register yourself, and you will get the OTP. After that, you can create your own username and password and start generating the e-invoice. Next slide. So generation of IRN, it is a unique number generated by the portal based on some algorithm, based on some parameter like supplier, GST, financial year, document type, all kind of a thing. The unique number is generated and passed back to you. And invoice you are supposed to submit into the portal in a standard format. We have given all that detail in the thing. And one more thing is that if you are dealing or selling through the e-commerce operator like Amazon, Flipkart, or other Snapdeal or other big taxpayer who are e-commerce operators are there. In that case, e-commerce operators also can generate the invoice on behalf of you, and that will come and sit in your R1. So that is the idea. E-commerce also has been enabled. Next slide. So e-invoice, e-way bill. So whether I have to generate e-way bill separately again? No, there is the option available. You have three categories of e-invoice, e-way bill. They are seamlessly integrated. Let us say you are dealing with a service sector, or you are issuing the invoice where it is less than 50,000. In that case, you need only e-invoice, IRN number. You don't need the e-way bill. So just you have to enter the supply detail from whom to whom you are selling the goods, kind of a thing. IRN will be generated and returned back to you. So only your e-invoice you are generating and leaving up there. But in some certain cases, I want to generate e-invoice also, e-way bill also. That provision is also there on the portal. You can supply the supply details and transportation detail. That is, what is the vehicle which is going to carry the goods. Once you enter both of them, e-invoice is also generated, e-way bill also generated. Together, you will get back through the portal. There is a third option where I want to generate e-invoice now, but e-way bill after 2 days. So under that circumstances, first I will generate the e-invoice, then I'll get the IRN number. After 2 days, I will pass the e-invoice number, that is the IRN number, transportation detail, then e-way bill will be generated. So all these permutation combinations are available in this portal. Next slide, please. So time limit. So currently, once you generate, when you prepare the manual invoice, next you are supposed to prepare the e-invoice in next few days. Previously, it was there at 24 hours. Now that is not there, but government will bring some kind of a limit, maybe 1 month or so. Within 1 month, you have to, once you issue the prepare the invoice, in 1 month you have to do kind of a thing that will come. Next slide. And one more thing is, once the e-invoice you have generated, you cannot amend it. It only has to be cancelled on the portal and generate the new invoice if you have made any mistake. So please note that if you have made a mistake on any of your invoice, in 24 hours, you can cancel it. If you are not able to cancel in 24 hours, after when it goes to R1, in R1, they are providing a mechanism where you can correct that and record the details also. Or sometimes, if you have already issued the invoice, it has gone to the other party, you can also do the adjustment to the debit note and credit note. All those possibilities are there. Now, what is QR code? QR code is one diagram image is prepared by the system, which is supposed to be printed on the e-invoice. Please note that this QR code is essential on the e-invoice which you are issuing to the other party. This has to be printed in your invoice in any place wherever you feel comfortable. That e-invoice QR code will be prepared by the system and passed back to you. Next slide. So printing of invoice, as we are saying, through portal also, we are given some provision to generate the print e-invoice. But we are not saying that you have to follow that. You can either have your own invoice format and you can generate from own invoice system the whole e-invoicing. So it is not necessary that you have to take a printout what the portal is giving. You can prepare your own invoice and print the QR code there. Only thing is that QR code is a must on your printing of the invoice. Next slide. So the portal, when you generate the invoice, it looks like this. QR code is in one side and all the other details will be shown. This QR code, you can put it anywhere you feel. In our portal, you are giving in one place. You can put it on the bottom, left, right, or top, middle, wherever you have a space. You can, but that QR code should be readable whenever I read from the mobile app. So that is the only basic requirement. Okay, next. Validation. There are some validation we have provided in the e-invoicing system, particularly related to GST rules, like validation of the GST recipient validation, HSN code validation, some of the master validations we have done, and also we have accounting practice, whatever are there, accounting rules are there. Those things also validating, like summation, multiplication, division, all go kind of a thing. So those rules validation should be, calculation should be taken care when you are preparing your invoice and sending that to the e-invoice. E-invoice will validate this. If there is any discrepancy, it will not generate the e-invoice. It will give back that there is a discrepancy in your invoice preparation, correct that and send it. Next. So this is the simple portal available on our e-invoicing portal. This portal is a self-contained from all the respect. You can see all the information available required for the e-invoicing. You can set the FAQs, you can see the tools, you can see the videos, you can see the all other documents, PPT, everything, whatever we are sharing, we are running through the PPT. This PPT is also there. So every information, videos are there. If you go there, you can spend 1 hour or 2 hours on this portal. You will understand everything about the e-invoicing. You need not have to depend upon anybody else to know about the e-invoicing. Next slide. We are also giving the one mobile app. Basically, mobile app is what happens is if you have issued some invoices and you uploaded on the e-invoice portal and you issued me the invoice copy. So e-invoice copy, what you have issued is having the QR code. Now the question arises is I have to authenticate whether the QR code is genuine or not. For that purpose, I will download the app from my portal. Then I will read the QR code. When I read the QR code, system will validate whether the QR code is being generated for e-invoice portal or not. Then it will say yes, it has been generated, and it will link hit into the live site also and verify it. So that way the QR code plays a very important role, and you can use this things and carry out on that. Next slide. Okay, now there are multiple modes of e-invoice generation which we have provided. One is the API. Basically, API is nothing but we are linking your system with our system to generate the e-invoice. So system, you may be using some accounting software or ERP software. That ERP software will have a provision to hit to the my server and get the details and give back the details. So that provision we are provided. Basically, it is available for the top taxpayer or the GST Suvidha provider or ERP solution provider. If you are using some ERP solution like Sally, Tab, or some other things are there. So those people have already integrated their system with our system. So they may extend that facility in their software. Using that, you can hit and do through the API. Otherwise, you can do if you are doing a large number of things through GSP. Are there around 60-70 GSPs has been registered by GSTN. It is there in the portal. You can take and do that also, and integrate through the taxpayer having a direct. So some big taxpayer also is providing a facility for their suppliers, the accounting software. Through that also you can do if they have enabled for you. Next slide. This is on the bigger taxpayer. Without API integration or without the server-to-server integration, we have developed some interesting tool. Like keeping the small taxpayer in mind, we have developed this tool. The people who are not having the ERP solution or they are not having to interface with the e-invoicing system or whatever that they are generating only 2-3 invoices. Why should I spend so much of things if they are thinking? Then this tool can be used. One is a Japan. Japan is nothing but a GST e-invoice preparation and printing online system. This is a browser-based system. You can use it. We are going to explain that slides by my colleague in after 1 minute or so. There's Japan mobile app is also there. Through mobile also you can do. Jeb Offline tool is also there. Excel based, that also you can use. And bulk entry tool is also there. All these tools will be explaining in the next few minutes. I'll request Sunita to start the demonstration of the all these tools for the benefits of the taxpayer. Over to Sunita.
Thank you, sir. As sir explained that when we started with e-invoicing, a major thrust was laid on the API integration. That is the taxpayers who were above the turnover of 500 crore. They could integrate their ERP systems directly with the e-invoice system. And this made sense because they had large number of invoices, and entering these invoice details in the portal one by one would be time consuming and not feasible. But as the threshold is being reduced, and now it is for the taxpayers about 20 crores, so we expect these invoices can be entered one by one through this system. Hence, we have come up with different kinds of tools which will help the taxpayers for entering the invoice details and without API integration. So this way, the taxpayer can save on his cost of integration, and also this can be done directly by the taxpayer. So the first one is the Japan. So this is a web and the mobile based system. So let us see the features of the Japan system. So GST, Japan stands for GST e-Invoice preparing and printing tool. So what are the features of this? So the first one is it is a browser based online user friendly system. Here we say it's a browser based because the data that is being entered through the system will be submitted to the e-Invoice portal and IRN will be generated. And at the same time, a copy of this data is also available in the browser cache. That is why we say it is a browser-based system. You can use the same credentials of e-Waybill and e-Invoice, that is the portal credentials for the system. So you don't have to have any different set of credentials. As you know that we have already kept the credentials for e-Waybill and e-Invoice the same. Similarly, the same credentials can also be used on this Japan system. The Japan can also be downloaded onto the mobile. So the portal will allow you to download this onto your mobile and you can enter the invoice at any time and at any place conveniently. The other feature is it is offline. You can enter it in the offline mode also. So at sometimes the network connectivity is not available, but you will be not stopped from entering the invoice details. You can keep entering the details and when the network connectivity is resumed, you can submit to the invoice registration portal. The system has built-in validations. So all the checks and balances are incorporated into the system. So as and when you enter the details of the invoice, the system will check and will alert you if there are any errors. The system contains all the functionalities of the e-invoice system, such as generate invoice, cancel invoice, and generate e-Waybill. So all the three functionalities can be operated through this Japan system. So this is how the Japan system looks like. The URL is jep.einvoice1.gst.gov.in. So in this portal, you can see there is a help. There are also videos. You can go through these videos and understand how you have to work on this particular system. Also, there are some frequently asked questions. You can check on these. The system has a login page here. And also we have given a facility to enter your feedback. So when you use this system, you can send your feedback from the e-invoice portal by logging into the e-invoice portal and selecting the Japan option. So in this portal, you will be entering your username and password. These are the same credentials, as I said, of e-Waybill or e-invoice system. Once you log in, an OTP will be sent to your mobile. So this is a two-factor authentication what we have done. So this will strengthen your credentials so that nobody can use your credentials at any other place for which your OTP will be verified. So once you enter your OTP, then the system will log into the system portal. So here you can see as you log into the system, there is a dashboard welcoming you and it will be showing the number of invoices that you have generated. If you have entered any invoices but you have not submitted to the invoice registration portal, it will be indicated as pending invoices. And also the beauty of the system is you can create a masters. You also know that in the e-Waybill system, we had given a provision to create masters of your recipients, products, etc. So that was because whenever you are having some customers or the products repeating, the same can be entered through this, can be recorded in the masters. And just by entering few characters, the details of the recipient or the products will be auto-populated. The same concept has been used in the system. You can see on the right side, there are options to download on the mobiles, that is for Android and iOS. On the left side, you can see all the options to create invoice, to create e-Waybill by IRN, to cancel the IRN, and backup and restore data, and also to update the profile. On the right side, you can see the recipients, the frequently used recipients in your transactions, and also the products. So here, this is the profile. So here, as you log into the system, your details are auto-populated like GSTN, legal name, etc. You can update this profile with your company logo. So this, when it is updated, it will print this logo on the invoice. So this will give you a look and feel of your, business in the system. Now we come to adding the recipients in the masters. So when you go to this option, you can enter the GSTIN. The details are, pulled from the invoice registration portal, like his legal name, trade name, etc. And you can update the other details and save it. So you can see a number of recipients have been updated in this master. So as and when you are generating invoice, you can just readily pick from this list and continue the e-invoice generation. So similarly, you can create a product of masters. You can enter the product name, HSN code, and the units, and what is the price and what is the rate. So since these are all fixed values, so you need not enter the same for every invoice. So just you can select this particular product from the list, and all the other details like unit price, rate, numbers, and HSN code will be auto-populated. So this will reduce the time of entry of the invoice. So this is how the product of a product masters looks like. Now we'll see how to create the invoice. So this is a very simple form where you can just have to select some of the options and enter the required details, and e-invoice will be generated. So the first is the document details. That is, there are 4 types of supplies that which you can select from. Like it's a B2B, SEZ, export, and deemed export. So either you can say B2B or one of these options. Then it is IGST on intrastate. So you want to have a particular transaction which is intrastate transaction, and you want to apply IGST on it. So in that case, you can select yes on this. If this particular invoice has a reverse charge, then you can select yes or you can select no. Then the different document types like tax invoice, debit note, or credit note, one of them can be selected. So the document number can be entered here, document date, and you can proceed to the next tab. The next tab contains the recipient details. As I told you, here you can just enter few characters. A list is populated. You select this recipient from the list and the details are populated here. Then we have the transaction type. So this is, there are 4 categories in this: regular, bill from, ship to, and combination. So this will indicate the details like if the bill from address is different, then you can select as bill from, or ship to is different, that is the recipient address is different from the GSTN details, then you can select ship to, so that you will be allowed to enter the ship to address. So like this, you can specify the transaction type, and the next is the place of supply. So this is a list of all the states wherein you will be selecting one of the state and indicating it whether it is a intrastate or an interstate transaction. The next is adding items to your invoice. So you can come to this option and enter the few characters of this particular product. The details are shown and you can enter the quantity, and the rest of the things are auto calculated, and you can proceed with the next products. So once entry of all the items are completed, the total values are shown here. If the invoice has some other charges or there is a discount or a round of value, these can be additionally entered and you can proceed. This is the e-way bill details. If it is a goods kind of a invoice and you need to move this, you can include the details required for the e-way bill also. And whereas this is optional, and you can even generate e-way bill later. So in the e-way bill details, you can enter the transporter ID and what is the transport mode, whether it's a road, rail, ship, or air. And the distance can be entered here. And what is the document number, document date, and the vehicle number needs to be entered, and the vehicle type. So here there are 2 options, regular and ODC. So accordingly, based on this regular or ODC, the validity of the e-way bill will be calculated. This is a preview of all the data what you have entered, so you can verify if all the details are correct. And if you confirm, you can click on this generate button here to generate this invoice. So once the e-invoice is submitted to the e-invoice portal, the invoice is generated, IRN will be shown, and here you can also see the acknowledgement number. If e-way bill details are entered, you will get the e-way bill number and the validity date. So here you can see how the e-invoice looks like when it is printed. There's a QR code shown on the right side, your company logo, and the IRN details, acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date. The transaction details, like whether it was a B2B or what was the invoice number, etc., or whatever options you have selected, that also will be shown here. And the supplier details and the buyer details along with the item details will be shown. Down the right bottom, you can see the e-sign. This means that this particular invoice is digitally signed by the NIC IRP. So this is how the invoice looks like when it is generated. The other options which I told was the cancel IRN. So for any invoice that has been generated, you can even cancel it within 24 hours by giving the appropriate reason. Here you can see the list of all the invoices that have been generated, and you can select one of them and continue to cancel the invoice. You can also query this particular invoice based on the document details, or if you have the IRN number, you can take this IRN number and get the invoice and proceed for cancelling the invoice. Similarly, if you have to generate e-way bill, you can select on this e-way bill by IRN, and all the invoices that have been generated will be shown. You can select one of them and enter the e-way bill details as I showed you in the last slide, and you can generate the e-way bill. Now we come to the backup and restore option. So as I told you in the first slide that this particular Japan is a browser based. And I also told you that the data that you enter or submit to the invoice registration portal is also stored as a copy in the browser cache. So sometimes, you may be using the Google Chrome and entering the invoices, and all the data will be there in the Google Chrome. Suddenly you want to change and you want to start with Microsoft Edge or Mozilla. So in that case, that data what you had in the Google Chrome will not be available. So what you can do is you can take a backup from the Google Chrome by clicking on this backup data option. A JSON file will be generated and this will be automatically downloaded, and you can pick that file and restore that file in this Mozilla or Google, or Microsoft Edge or etc. So you can restore that data and continue using it. Similarly, if you have you want to change your system from one system to another, you want to move this data, you can click the backup and restore option. So this way you will not be missing on your data or the invoices that you have generated through this Japan. Now we come to the Jeb Offline System. Till now I explained about the Jeb Online. That is, this was online system. Anytime you could log into the system and generate the invoices. The Jeb Offline is an Excel based tool. This is a totally offline system. That is, there may be some taxpayers who would want to enter all the invoice details in their system in our Excel sheet, and then take all these invoices and upload into the invoice registration portal. So in that case, you need to connect only when you want to upload to the invoice portal. Otherwise, you can be offline and keep entering all the invoice details. So these details can be, these tools can be downloaded from the e-invoice portal. There is an option available there under tools. When you go there, there are two sections. One is the Jeb tool. This is a Jeb offline tool, that is the left hand side. And you can see if there are any changes done to this tool, that will be indicated here. The new versions will be indicated. So if there is any changes or an upgradation in the tool, you can download the tool and again backup and restore the data into the new version of the tool. Here you can see here, there is what are the updates done to the tool are also indicated. The user manuals are there. Videos are available. So you can go to this and understand this tool in detail. Now let us see the features of the Jeb offline tools. So as I said, it is an Excel based application. and invoices can be entered using user-friendly forms. So we have made some forms here through which the data can be entered. Though it's an offline tool, these forms will help the taxpayers in entering the details as if they are entering in some application. Then we have the other feature is all the data that you have entered will be there in the Excel sheet or in the tool itself. There are few validations incorporated because as we said, it's an offline tool. All validations cannot be given here. You still need to check it only when you are uploading the file in the portal. The other features like masters, as we did for Jeb Online, the same kind of concept is being followed here. You can also have masters, and the data file that is generated. That is, once you upload all the invoice details into your Excel sheet, a file can be generated and uploaded into the e-invoice portal. The other option or the additional feature that we have provided is the payments option. That is, whenever a taxpayer is having the invoices being generated, he would also like to keep a tab on the payments that he has received from his customer. And he may want to regularly update all the payments. So these such things can be tracked. All the payments or the balances can be tracked using this particular option. So this is how the Jeb tool looks like. So you may think it is an application. It is not any online application. It is only a tool. That is an Excel tool. On the left side, you can see the number of options. That is to create invoice and to import the QR code or to generate the invoice or update the payment details, etc. Then we have the masters, like you can update your supplier details and the recipient masters and product master. So you can see, as I said, since this is an offline tool, this tool will not be aware of your GSTIN and your trade name, legal name, etc. You need to enter this as a one-time measure. So this is only one-time entry. You will enter your GSTIN, legal name, trade name, address, etc. So once this is entered, you do not enter these details every time for every invoice. So that will save your time. You can only enter the item details or the recipient details and continue to generate the e-invoice. Also, there is a feature to upload your company logo. So this will again get printed on the invoice. So as I said, this is a recipient masters. You can create a master by entering all your customers' names and his details. Similarly, the product masters can be generated. You can enter the product name and the HSN code, etc. And master of all these products will be there so that you can just pick one of them when you're entering the invoice. This is how you will generate the invoice. In this form, you can see the type of the document, whether it's a B2B or whether it has a reverse charge or it has what are the document type, whether it's a tax invoice or credit note, debit note, and what is the document number, that is the invoice number or the credit note number can be entered. The document date is entered and you can and select the recipient details and also you can indicate whether it is IGST on intra and what is the transaction type. So with all these details, you can see down we also have an option to enter the payment details and also there is an option to enter the e-way bill details. So now we come to the entering of the items. That is, here you will select the product and the details are auto-populated. You can enter the quantity and again all other values are auto-populated and you can submit. So now on entering this item is shown here. E-way bill details can be entered like this, like the transporter mode can be entered, distance, trans document number, vehicle type, etc. can be entered through the screen. So this is a preview of the invoice that we have entered here. You can confirm on this and it will be saved into the Excel sheet. So still it has not got, it is not in the invoice portal. It is still in the your tool itself or the Excel sheet. So this is where you can see all the invoices details that you have entered looks like. And now when you want to upload this to the invoice portal, you need to generate the data file. So for that, you will click on this prepare JSON. The file is created here. This is the JSON file that is shown here. Now you need to upload this file in the invoice portal. So this is the invoice portal. You will come to the invoice portal and you will log in here with your credentials. You will select the file. There is a bulk upload option is available in the invoice portal. You'll click that and it will take you to this option where you can upload the file. You can see this file here, the JSON file. Select this file and here you can see the invoices that are being generated. So if there are any errors, that will be shown here, that is failed to upload. If any invoice is having some a mistake done, then you can see that details also, and it will indicate how many invoices were there in the file, how many items were there, and how many invoices have got generated successfully. So once the invoices are generated, you can download this JSON file. You can see here there's an option to download the signed JSON file. You can also download it as an Excel file and again import it back to your Jeb tool. So in that way, whichever invoices you had entered through the Jeb tool, you will also get back the IRNs that were generated against it. So now your Jeb tool will act as a repository with complete information. That is the invoice details, the QR code, and the signed JSON, etc. So once it is there in your Excel tool or the Jeb tool, anytime you want to take a print, you can do it even from the Jeb tool itself. You can take a print. You can see here there is another option, that download print PDF. That is now since you have generated some 10 or 20 invoices and you would want a PDF with of all these invoices. So you can have a bulk print done on this. So when you give this, all the 10 or 20 invoices will be printed. So then you can issue these invoices to your customers. So now when you take a print, as we also discussed in the previous slides, this is how it will look like with your QR code and all other details of the invoice. The additional feature what I told you was the payment details. So anytime the customer makes another payment, you can again select this particular invoice and add up the additional payment that you have received. So in that way, it will always keep showing you what is the balance against this particular invoice. Now we come to the bulk generation of invoices. This is another tool. These were the first batch of tools that we had released when e-Invoice was launched. So this was in the columnar format, that is they are Excel sheets wherein you can enter all the details. So these tools are available on the right hand side, that is a bulk IRN generation. There are 4 formats of this particular tool, that is format A, B, C and D. Format A is for those businesses where they have only one item. So now the Excel sheet will have only one row for entering all the invoice details, like all the document details, the recipient and the item details, all can be entered in one row and invoice can be generated. The second format is for those businesses where they have multiple items. So in that case, they will select this particular format, and the first sheet will be for entering all the document details, and the second sheet will be exclusively for entering the item details. So you can select this particular format if you have more than 2 or 3 items or more than one item. The third is the format C, which is for entering the you can enter all the deemed exports along with the reference details and payment details, etc. So this is, you can see the schema of the e-invoice that is there in the portal, and you can understand what these correspond to. And if you have such any requirement, you can use this format C. Similarly, format D is a very comprehensive with all the details in one particular row. So you can select one of this as per your requirement and use the tools. So here also we have any updates are done to this tools will be shown here, and what are the updates done to the tool also will be indicated. and the videos are available, so you can go through this. Now, let me go to this particular tool. You can see here, when I open this tool, you can see in the bottom, there are different sheets. That is the profile. You can have a profile of this, and invoice details, item details, sample invoice. Then the schema also is there in this tool, and you can see what are the validations in the invoice portal, that is explained here. What are the kind of calculations being done, that is also there, and what are the FAQs. So as I said, the profiling is very important, because once you enter all this information, you will not have to enter these details repetitively for every invoice. So this is a kind of other profile where we are asking whether you have any requirement of reverse charges, or whether you have any kind of free quantities in your invoices being entered, whether you do dealing with any exports are there, whether e-way bills are required. So why we ask all this is so that the Excel sheet, which is there in the column wise format, can be customized to your requirement. So you don't have to enter the data in all the columns of the sheet. Only which are required can be entered by the as per your business requirement. So you can see here, this is how the tool looks like. So all the columns are available. This is in the columnar format, which is different as to what in the previous slides, a previous application which I told in the Jeb on or Jeb off, where you were entering as a form based. So here in this column, you'll be entering the details. And this is the items sheet. This is exclusively for entering all the items. You will be entering the item details here, but you will be telling this item belongs to which document, that is a document or document number and the document date. So it corresponds to these documents where you have entered, and you can enter all the details. So this is other details which you will be entering, like the export details, then e-way bill details, etc. And if there is any error in this particular sheet, you can see as in the last column. Suppose when you validate this particular sheet, if any errors are there, it will show in the last column. So you can look at this error and take a corrective action against that row. So when you click on validate, and if all the details entered are correct, then you can, it will show as data validated successfully. But still the complete validations will be done only in the invoice registration portal. That is because the GSTINs of the buyer or the other details cannot be validated in the sheet. So you only few things are done, and only when you upload in the invoice registration portal, the complete validation will be done and shown. So here on click of prepare JSON, you can see that the data file is generated. You can take this file and you can go to the invoice registration portal. You can come here and upload this file. The same way as you uploaded in the Jeb off tool. So the invoices will be generated, and you can again download this Excel file and import it into your tools. So this is how the invoices can be quickly generated, and you don't have to depend on any kind of API integration. These are ready to use tools. So it is just a click away that you can just register, or if you have already registered, you can just download this tools and start using right away. So this is the presentation from my side. Now I request my colleague, Mr. Suresh Meti, Technical Director. He will go through the frequently asked questions. So this will clarify more all your doubts what you have. Over to you, Suresh.
Thank you, Sunita ma'am. So very good afternoon to all the participants. So already we have seen some basics of e-invoicing and also some tools which are already made available by NIC and how to use them. And all this information is available online on e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. So you can go there, you can have a look at all the documents, all the videos, the frequently asked questions, and both the presentations that we have seen so far and what you are going to see now, both are available on the same portal. And as you are aware, like the same is already being streamed on YouTube. So you can have a look at that video subsequently as well. So what we are going to see is frequently asked questions by the taxpayers, and most of these are already covered during the presentation so far. But now, as a recap, we are going through all these questions again. And beyond these questions, if you have anything, please put in the chat. Whatever is possible, we will be able to address it after the frequently asked questions presentation is over. So usually the taxpayers would like to know like whether they are supposed to generate the IRNs or not. So how they will ask, how do I know whether I am eligible or am I supposed to register the invoices? Then those taxpayers can go to this portal. This is a single portal for all the e-invoice purpose as of now, e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. So once you go to this portal, in the menu, there is an option called as search, and under that, you can go to e-invoice status of taxpayer. So in this page, you can enter the GSTIN and it will tell you whether your GSTIN is eligible for registering the invoices. Which turnover is considered for eligibility of for registration of the invoices? So as it was mentioned earlier also, like any of the financial years since 2017, since the GST came into force, after that, in any of the financial years, if your company has crossed the turnover of 20 crores, then your company is eligible for registering the invoices or generation of the IRN. So this turnover is taken for all the GSTNs which are taken based on the same PAN. So the turnover for the PAN is considered here, not for the individual GSTNs. Like if some company has taken 4 GSTNs in 4 states based on the same PAN, so the turnover of all the 4 GSTNs are added and then the turnover is calculated. And those taxpayers who are having more than 20 crores are supposed to register their invoices from 1st April 2022. My turnover is more than 20 crores, but my status shows I am not eligible for e-invoice. How can I enable myself? Actually, it is the duty of the taxpayers to know their own turnover, and based on that, they are supposed to start registering their invoices. So even if the portal shows that they are not eligible, and if the taxpayer knows that their turnover is more than 20 crore, there is a provision for them to go to the portal and do a self-enablement. So here in e-invoice1.gst.gov.in, under registration, there is an option called as e-invoice enablement. Here they can enter their GSTIN and they will be authenticated by sending OTP to the registered mobile number and email ID. So these are the email ID and mobile numbers which are registered with GSTIN. So when you enter the OTP, you will be allowed to enter the year in which you have crossed the turnover, and you are supposed to enter the turnover, actual turnover, and subsequently you will be made eligible for registering the invoices, and then you can use the registration option to create the user ID and password for yourself, and then you can start registering your invoices. Is e-invoicing voluntary? No, e-invoicing is not voluntary. Only those taxpayers who have been notified to register their invoices as per the government notification. For example, now the government has notified that all the taxpayers who are having turnover more than 20 crores only are supposed to register their invoices from 1st April 2022. So those taxpayers below 20 crores are not allowed to register themselves to register their invoices. I am one of IST, SEZ, TDS or UNI. Am I supposed to register my invoices? As we have seen earlier, all these category of registrations are exempted for registering the invoices. My turnover is less than the threshold announced by the government, or my business type is exempted from the e-invoice. But when I go to the portal and when I check my status, it says that I am enabled. So what do I do? So in such cases, you are supposed to approach the GST Common portal through the self-help portal and raise your grievance over there. Can I integrate my system through API with e-invoice system? Basically, the API integration was given for more than 500 crore turnover taxpayers, because they will be having large number of invoices to be registered on daily basis. For the taxpayers with lower turnovers, like already we have seen there are 4 modes in which you will be able to generate the invoices. But still, if you want to integrate, you can integrate it through the GSPs or the ERPs, or also if your suppliers or recipients who are having more than 500 crore turnover and they have already taken the direct integration with NIC, then you can get your system integrated through API through those taxpayers who are already having the direct integration with NIC. What are the modes of e-invoice registration for taxpayers with turnover less than 500 crore? So you can integrate using API through GSP or ERP, or through the large taxpayers who are directly having API integration, or use the offline tools such as bulk generation or Jeb Off, or you can use the online tool, that is Jeb On, or you can also download the mobile application on the registered mobile, and then you can start using it through the mobile device as well. So is there a facility to enter one invoice details at a time to register invoice? If you are generating very few invoices and you are registering very few invoices in a day, then Jeb Off and Jeb On, where you can enter one by one invoices and register, such tools can be used. If you are generating larger number of invoices and you want to register all of them at one go, then you can use the offline tool, bulk offline tool. Can we use the same credentials to access e-invoice and e-waybill in production environment? Yes, both the systems are seamlessly integrated. So once you have registered with the e-waybill and you have been using e-waybill all these days, then you don't have to re-register yourself for the e-invoice activity. So the same credentials you can use that you have been using for the e-waybill. Even if you don't have e-waybill credentials as of now, you can either go to the e-waybill portal or the e-invoice portal and create your own user ID and password by authenticating the OTP which you receive on your registered mobile number. I have registered at GST portal. Do I have to register separately for e-waybill and e-invoice? Yes, these two are separate systems. So even though you have registered on the GST portal and taken the GSTIN, for e-waybill and e-invoice operations, you have to register yourself either on the e-waybill portal or on the e-invoice portal. However, once you have registered on e-waybill or e-invoice, you can use the same user ID password on the other e-waybill or e-invoice portal. Do I need to generate the invoice on the IRP? So as it was earlier explained also, it is not the generation of the e-invoice online. So invoice will be generated locally in your ERP or in your financial accounting system, whatever way you have been doing all these days. Only thing is, after you have prepared your invoice, you have to upload it or submit it to the IRP and get it registered there and get the unique number for that particular registration, that is called as invoice reference number, IRN. And you also will get the QR code, which is mandatory to be printed on the invoice. So you are not preparing the invoice online, but you have prepared the invoice in your local system the way you have been doing, but you are registering it on the government portal. Can I amend the details of a reported invoice for which IRN has already been generated? No. The invoice once registered cannot be modified. However, if you want to, if you have come across or if you have come to know that there is a mistake in the invoice, you have to cancel the IRN and then you have to generate a new invoice, cancel the earlier original invoice, generate a new invoice, and this new invoice with new number has to be again registered on the IRP. And if you are not able to cancel the IRN because there is a time limit of 24 hours, if you are not able to cancel the IRN, subsequently when you go for filing the GSTR1, the IRN details will be auto-populated there. There you can amend the required details on the GST common portal. What is the time limit for generation of IRN? Earlier, the limit was set for 24 hours. That is, today if I have created an invoice, I had to register it today itself or by 24 hours. But subsequently, due to practical reasons, this has been now removed. So there is no limit for registering the invoice once you have generated the invoice on your system. But there is only one validation as of now, that is the invoice or the credit note or the debit note should have date after 1st October 2020. But in subsequently, it may be restricted for the registration of invoices which are having the date of the current financial year only. So this will be notified as and when this will be decided. But till then, you can register all the invoices which are having date beyond 1st October 2020, and this is applicable for credit note, debit note as well. If I have committed mistake in invoice and generated IRN for it, can I cancel the IRN and regenerate the IRN again for the same invoice? No. You cannot regenerate the IRN for the same document number. You have to cancel the IRN, you have to cancel the original invoice, you have to generate a new invoice with a new number, and that newly generated invoice has to be registered on the IRP. What are the time limits for cancelling the invoice and how long the invoices are available at IRP for download? The e-invoices can be cancelled within 24 hours of registration. So beyond that, you will not be allowed to cancel the IRNs. And once you have generated the IRN, you have only 2 days for either printing it online or downloading it onto your system. So beyond 2 days, they will not be available to be downloaded or printed from the IRP. So the taxpayers are supposed to download the signed invoice, signed QR code within 2 days of generation of the IRN into their respective local system and import them to their ERPs or financial accounting system in case you are using, and beyond 2 days they are not available on the portal. Can the taxpayer generate IRN after e-way generation? Ideally, the invoice is generated first and then only the e-way bill is generated. So the reverse way is not practically practiced, in use. So first you have to generate the IRN invoice, and then subsequently you have to create the e-way bill based on the invoice. If the e-way bill has to be generated for the invoice, but the transportation details are not available at the time of invoice generation, then how to generate the e-way bill? So we have already seen this. Either you can generate the only IRN in case you don't require e-way bill, and if you want to generate the e-way bill and you have all the details of the e-way bill at this moment, you can provide the data for both invoice as well as e-way bill, and simultaneously both IRN as well as e-way bill will be generated and returned to you as a IRN and e-way bill number. In case you don't have the transportation details at the time of generation of IRN, you can only generate the IRN for time being, and there is a provision in the system where you can provide the IRN and the transportation details, and using these two, the e-way bill can be generated subsequently. When an IRN is cancelled, whether the associated e-way bill also gets automatically cancelled? No, it is a two-step process. First, you have to cancel the e-way bill, and then you have to cancel the IRN. And both are having the same 24 hours as a time limit for cancellation. So within 24 hours, you have to cancel the e-way bill and you have to cancel the IRN. In case you are not able to cancel the e-way bill, in case it is already verified by the officer or something like that, then e-way bill cannot be cancelled, and hence the IRN also cannot be cancelled. Do I need to print invoice as provided in the portal, or can I have my own format of invoice? Only as a simple facility, we have provided the print facility on the portal. Again, it is limited only for 2 days. So this is a standard format irrespective of the user. So the taxpayers are advised to download the signed invoice, signed QR code into their own software, and then use the same data to print the invoice in whatever format they have been already using it. So there is no restriction on the format, but only thing is for compliance, the QR code has to be printed on the invoice. Do I need to print QR code on invoice? If so, what shall be its size and location on the invoice copy, and the other details like acknowledgement number, etc., which are given by the IRP, whether should I print all those things on the invoice? QR code printing is mandatory. You can print it anywhere on the invoice, and it can be of any size. Only thing it has to be ensured is the QR code that is printed on the invoice should be scan. One should be able to scan the QR code using any QR code scanner. So that should be the size and clarity that has to be looked after, and it can be anywhere placed anywhere, or and it can be of any size. And since the IRN is a 64 character string, which is very difficult to refer in case you want to refer it outside the system, for convenience, we have generated another unique number called as acknowledgement number, which is a shorter number. You can make use of this for any references, but it is not mandatory to print this acknowledgement number on the invoice. Whether B2C invoices can be reported to IRP for generation of IRN? No. As of now, only B2B and export invoices have to be registered on the IRP. B2C invoices are not accepted and should not be registered on the IRP. Can e-commerce entities generate invoices on behalf of the sellers on their platforms? Yes. Those taxpayers who have registered themselves as TCS, they are allowed to register the invoices on the IRP on behalf of their suppliers. Who has to generate reverse charge mechanism invoices? Reverse charge mechanism invoices have to be registered by the supplier themselves. So if it is B2C, anyway, we are not accepting the B2C invoices. But in case of B2B RCM, the supplier only have to register the invoices, and there is a flag called as reverse charge that has to be set yes to indicate that it is a reverse charge invoice. In case of breakdown of internet connectivity in certain areas, will there be any relaxation for the requirement to obtain IRN? In such situation, government will separately notify any such relaxation will be provided for generation of the IRN. In the current schema, there is no provision to report details of supplies not covered under GST. Example, a hotel wants to give single invoice for B2B supply, where the supply includes food and beverages which are leviable under GST, and alcoholic beverages which are outside GST. In such cases, separate invoices have to be generated, one for the GST supplies and other for the non-GST, and only the GST invoice has to be registered on the IRP. TDS of income tax is not part of invoice schema. Is it not required to be displayed in e-invoice? If so, how to pass these values? Apart from TDS of income tax, there are other charges also which are not finding any place in the schema of the e-invoice. For time being, all such charges have to be adjusted either in the other charges field or in the discount field to tally the total figures. What is the maximum number of line items which can be reported in an invoice? Up to 1,000 items can be added per invoice before registering it on the IRP. In case of credit note and debit note, is there any validation with respect to referred invoice number? No. As of now, we are not validating whether these credit notes or debit notes are having a valid original document number. How are the interstate and intrastate transactions identified? Based on the state code of the supplier and the state code which is specified in the field place of supply, the transaction is either treated as an interstate or intrastate. If both the state codes are same, it's an intrastate, otherwise it's an interstate. And there is another field available. In case IGST is applicable for the intrastate as well, then there is a flag which has to be set indicating that IGST is applicable for the intrastate transaction. One, on e-invoice portal, IRN generation are failing because of minor variations in the calculation. What should be done? Initially, the validation is very stringent, but subsequently we have added tolerance to these calculations and allowing small differences which will take care of the rounding off and other related calculations. Now it is working smooth, like there are no validation errors due to these small rounding off issues. So this is the end of the frequently asked questions that we wanted to share. Now I think if time permits, we can take the live questions in the chat box. But sir,
Yes, Suresh,
Yes,
Just
sir.
there are some queries.
Yes.
Nagendra Kumar sir is there? Okay, I will go through some of the queries what they have raised. Service center, it is possible to create a backdated invoice. Yes, currently for whether it is a service or a goods industry, whatever you are having, backdated invoice can be generated now. So, but there will be some limitation after some time. It may be in a 15 days or a 1 month time. Government may say within that time you have to generate the e-invoice. So transmit e-invoice from e-invoice portal to GST portal in respected GSTR1 by mistake. Which invoice transmit from e-invoice portal to GST portal taxpayer reset? No, there will be what question is not clear, but what we want to say is all these invoice will go and sit in your R1. You need not have to again upload the R1. That R1 will be shown. In that R1, you can do the edit option also, they will provide, where you can do the correction if you are having on that. If you are not able to do to debit note and credit note, that provision is going to be provided in the GST and common portal. Presentation copy is available on the portal. You can see there, and also wherever it is possible, we are sending by the WhatsApp group also. We are sending to on the WhatsApp group how you have got this link, and you can see there also the presentation copy. Service industry, yeah, backdated already I have told. What do if invoice made is having some critical clerical mistakes, customer not accepting the invoice, what to do? No, whatever current method you are following, you have to do on that basis. If you have made a mistake, you can, whatever correction you are doing, you can correct and give. Otherwise, you have a provision in R1 to correct the invoice which you have done the mistake after issue generation and issuing to the invoice. In case of export, somebody has asked that GST will not be there. In case of export, we are not asking the GST. So you can directly enter the URP there. So it will take care about that. Then secondly, OTP will come to your email ID, mobile number which you are registered for your taxpayer. For when you are using a Japan, whatever for Japan you have created a username, and for your taxpayer, whatever email ID is there and mobile number is there, for that OTP will come. And secondly, somebody has asked, in export, I am issuing in the dollars, or dollars you are issuing the bill. There is also provision to mention the rupee. The rupee you can enter, and in the schema, if you want to pass the dollar, you can pass the dollar also. There is a detail. Japan is not supporting that. Japan is only meant for a small taxpayer. Bigger taxpayer can follow some API model through which they can send all the details. HSN code, as per the provision, now minimum 4 characters are required, but in the coming days it will be made a mandatory as per the rule about 6 digit or 8 digit. Currently it is 4 digit is also acceptable, and tomorrow below some 5 crore 4 digit will continue. So job work you are not issuing the invoice. Job work you are moving in the delivery challan. So if you are issuing the invoice, then even irrespective of that, e-invoice is required. Tax invoice wherever you are issuing, then the e-invoice is required. For job work, if you are issuing the invoice, then e-invoice is required. If you are issuing against the delivery challan, then e-invoice is not required. So e-invoice serial number and commercial serial numbers will be different. Normally, invoice serial number starts from 1st April. How do you proceed? Please note that we are not suggesting, or government is not telling any of the business people to change their procedure. Whatever business practice you are following, you can continue following that. Ideally, you have to start preparing the new serial number from April 1. If you are doing that, you can continue. In a given financial year, the one invoice which you have issued should be unique. If you are having a different series also, you can follow that. You need not have to change the procedure. Whatever you are following, you continue. That's with the series you have to say. If you are starting with A, 1, 2, 3 like that, whatever is there, that series also will come when you are generating the e-invoice. We can use the debit note, credit note for wrong invoices. If you have done the wrong invoice, you can issue the debit note, credit note to correct it also, amend it also. Bill of supply is issued by the composition taxpayer, so that is not applicable. Export, in case of export, you are issuing invoice only. No, e-invoice you have to issue because you have been made unable for e-invoice from 1st April. So all the invoice you are issuing from 1st April, for that e-invoice is required, not for the pre-months. For example, current month e-invoice is not required. If you are generating, it is good for a practice, but previous months are not required. Do we have to upload the sorted sequence the invoice? Suppose next invoice transporter come today and previous invoice could be dispatched tomorrow. No, it is not necessary. Whatever the in which you are preparing the invoice, in whatever the order is there, you can issue the generate the e-invoice. So whatever you are following the business practice, you continue on that. We are not changing that. What government is saying, whenever you are issuing a B2B transaction, that should be registered on the e-invoice portal, get the number, QR code and print it on it. Whatever other practices you are following, you will continue to do that. Bulk IRN facilities by default, it will be available once you log into the portal. You can create a multiple user creation provision is there. Administrator can create a multiple account. If your branches are there, in branches the invoices are being issued, you can create a separate account for them. Enter the mobile number of the operator or a manager who is going to work on that. He will get the OTP. He can create his own account and do that. So generate e-way bill and e-invoice only Jeb government site? No. Jeb is the only additional tool provided. You can do using your ERP solution if your ERP solution provider is providing the e-invoice facility. Is it possible to convert B2C invoice to B2B invoice? No, it is not possible. Once the invoice has been generated, you have to cancel and generate the new invoice. So if you have created already login, there is the option available there where the e-invoice generation, all kind of a thing. You can go there and select that and start doing it. Already more than 2,000 taxpayers who are below 20 to 50 crore. They are already generating now the e-invoices. If you are also one of the eligible taxpayer, you can start generating invoice now itself. Practice it for next 4 or 5 days. Generating few invoices. We are not expecting all the invoices. Just know how the invoices are being generated. When you are doing the government to government B2G transaction, for government, TDS number has to be entered. Instead of the recipient GSTN ID will be TDS authority number will be entered. Time limit already I have told. And one more point is, if you are crossing 20 crore this year, then they are also how to start generating invoice from the April 1st. So what government is saying, 1st of April 2022, if somebody has covered turnover has covered more than 20 crore in the previous financial year, any of the financial year, he is eligible to generate e-invoice. Even in the previous subsequent year, if he is come down below 20 crore, Once he has been enabled, he has to start continuing generation of e-invoice. Let us say 89, 90, you are 22 crores. 1920, you are 15 crore. But still, you have to generate the e-invoice once you are more than 20 crore in any one of the year. This is going to be brought down for the other people also in a coming month. You can cancel the invoice also, provision is there within 24 hours. Otherwise, you can go to the portal and do it. Yes, can I generate the invoice today? Send the goods after 2-3 days? Yes. Whatever business practice you are following, still you can continue doing that. We are not stopping that. Invoice can be generated today and you can send it after 2-3 days, whatever the mechanism you are following now. Then digital signature. Somebody has asked whether I am using some Tally digital signature, how I have to do. Digital signature, your signature is not required. Signature will be done by the e-invoicing portal. So you need not have to sign. E-invoicing portal will do. Yeah, whatever ERP software you are using, it will hit to the e-invoice portal and generate from there. When take a print from Tally, it shows different, and when take from a e-invoice portal, invoice looks different. Look may be different. Content has to be same. Is it necessary to enter e-way bill details during generation of e-invoice or later? As I told you, you can enter together or you can do later also as per your business requirement. Don't worry about the dummy creation. You can go and actually generate the e-invoice what you are issuing now itself for month of March. And dummy site is also there. When you go to the portal, it will show the dummy site. You can do there also. So those who are not mediated, they cannot generate the invoice. Below 20 crore who are there, they will not be enabled on the e-invoice. They cannot generate e-invoice. Only 20 crore above. I have covered all the questions, whatever is there in the portal. Sunita, dummy site email, dummy site website URL, you can type it in the chat. The people can note down that.
Sir, we can send all these links to the registered mail ID.
Anyway, we have sent it to all the registered email ID. We have sent the all these links. Again, we will be sending it. One more round today. How many invoices can be cancelled in a month? There is no limit. Any number can be cancelled. For service invoicing, e-way bill is not required. For export PIN code, you have to enter 999 if you are moving through the e-invoice and e-way bill. So this covers all my queries. So let us hear from Nagendra Kumar sir. There we'll hear the last word. Sir, are you there? So all your other queries you can will answer also, send by mail also if any other things are there. Okay, Sunita, you can close it.
Okay. On behalf of NIC, I thank Shri DP Nagendra Kumar sir for inaugural address. I thank Shri PV Bhatt sir for clearly explaining the concepts of e-invoicing and also answering the queries. I thank Shri Suresh Meti for presenting all the frequently asked questions. Most importantly, I thank all the participants for joining this session and making it a great success. I hope this session has benefited all of you and will help you in complying to e-invoicing from 1st of April. The links for all this PPTs or the presentations what we have done will be available, will be sent through to your registered mail ID. And also some of the queries which we have not answered will be included in the frequently asked questions, and they will be mailed to you. So with this, we come to the end of the session. Thank you. Thank you once again for all of you for joining the session. Thank you.